you don't really need calls on your calendar for people that are not going to connect with your messaging. You don't need somebody to call you and say, well, I know you teach this, but I do it this way and I want you to do it this way. Like, one of the things that I say over and over and over is I'm not going to teach you about automation. Like, I think automation is going to hurt your brand. LinkedIn repels it. LinkedIn doesn't like it. And I have one client one time that she hired me privately, and then she insisted that her VAs overseas were logging in and doing this work for her. And I was like, listen, that's not how I teach this. I'm not the LinkedIn police. Do whatever you want, right? But I think that people expect to be talking to you. And if they're talking to your assistant overseas on LinkedIn, they're going to know that. And then, like, halfway through our engagement, she's like, well, people are saying that they don't like the conversations, that doesn't feel like me. I go, yeah, because it's not you. So I say that to say, if you want to make sure people are, when they find you, they find what they're looking for, right? So your content helps with all of that. More than we worry about, it gets more eyes on your profile. More than we worry about the algorithm bringing people to your profile. If you're doing this outreach to 5 people each week, you're going to have enough conversations going. If not, make it 10, right? But you're going to have enough conversations going without the algorithm dropping people into you. Of course, we want that. I want your profile to be magnetic. But it's going to happen more from your profile and from the conversations you're having than it is because you posted a particular piece of content. And LinkedIn changes the algorithm like every other platform does all the time. So you definitely want to post content. You want to mix it up a little bit. Tag people. Like, for example, if you share this episode, make sure you tag me and make sure you tag them more, because then our audiences will see it. And if you've done the work on your profile, and my audience sees that you shared this, and they're going to say, let me check out this person that shared it. Now, hopefully your profile will attract them, right? You don't want to tag me if it's unnecessary, if there's no reason to, because that's just annoying. So don't tag people that you don't have any relevance to your content. But if you're sharing an article that you read that you thought your audience would be interested in, tag the journalist that wrote the article, right? Because now you're going to get in front of their audience. So it's more about being strategic with your content than it is about the volume of content you put out there.
Definitely. And I noticed something interesting lately. I think over the past few months, that actually I get sometimes on older content, I get reactions. So it kind of led me to think that maybe, it's not just about the immediate reaction for people for what you put out there, rather than the content lives longer and people get to see it later on.
It does, and it stays permanently as a part of your profile, right? It's always going to be there. It doesn't go away. So it's always a part of your profile. So it also feeds the Google algorithm. It feeds all kinds of stuff. So content is a great content strategy is important, but it's so much simpler than all the other platforms. You don't have to have the volume of content that you have to have on other platforms. I will say this, though. If you are looking to get as many eyes as possible on your profile, the best way to do that is to engage with other people. So if you're talking about, well, let me just talk about what I'm doing right now. Like, a big part of, like, we have a webinar called Borrow the Stage. And so I am looking to talk to people that want to be interviewed on more podcasts, but not just get the interview, actually, bring that to new clients, right? How do you take it past getting the interview and use LinkedIn to actually get it, but then be seen, known, and actually chosen, and somebody hires you? So I might go into LinkedIn, go to the search bar and say podcast guesting, right? Maybe just using because it also could be speaking. There's a lot of different things that this could incorporate. But let's just use podcast guesting. I can see what conversations are happening around that and jump into those conversations. I don't even have to be connected to any of the people, right? I can see who's talking about this and jump into those conversations, because there's going to be a percentage of people that are going to say, well, who is this? And you don't want to just pop in and say, great point. You want to actually add your point of view to the conversation. You don't want to be pitching yourself, or you don't want to be hacking other people's posts to pitch your own stuff. Like, that's just gross. But jumping into the conversations authentically, and adding your point of view, and then a percentage of those people will click on your profile And then hopefully some of them will connect with you, and now you're starting to build your network. And if they do that, and that's what I meant when I said earlier, like sometimes people will start to connect with you and you don't know why, but they're not actually pitching you, right? So make sure you're accepting those. And then you can always say to them, hey, I loved, I see we recently connected, thanks so much for, reaching out to me, tell me more about you. Right? Like, so these are ways. So if you spend 15 minutes a couple times a week just jumping into other people's conversations, you're bringing your profile in front of thousands of people that wouldn't have seen it otherwise. So that might be how you're getting comments on things that are old, right? Like, because LinkedIn there is longevity in these conversations. If you just go to your wall and look for these conversations, sometimes it's hard to find conversations to jump into. I don't want you to jump into conversations that don't bring you any value. Do it if it's in, like if I see you post something and I love the conversation, I'm going to jump in whether or not it brings me value. But that's not what I'm talking about here, right? I'm talking about then specifically spending a couple of 15-minute blocks in a week looking for conversations around what your expertise is so that people will check out your profile, so that you have opportunities. And I can tell you, I can personally attest to the fact that I have gotten clients this way. I can think of one person who, it was a Friday, and it was like Friday morning, and she booked a call for like Friday at 4 o'clock, which I'm like, how did I let that happen? Right. But whatever. Um, but when she did not know who I was Friday morning, like did not know, never heard my name before, but saw me in a conversation, checked out my profile, saw an opportunity to book a call on my profile because I made it really easy to tell people, what do I want you to do next? And at the time we were booking calls to a 10K program. She booked a call, and by Friday afternoon, she joined my 10K program. She didn't know who I was Friday morning. And Friday afternoon, and I'm like, all right, well, now I'm happy I did this call on Friday afternoon because she joined my program, right? So it has personally happened to me. Not from the, no, I'm not going to say that nobody sees my content and engages with me. That, of course, happens too. But this is the part that people don't understand is so valuable. Just being a part of the community and joining conversations, there's huge opportunity there. Just huge opportunity. If you're not doing that, you're leaving money on the table.
Wow, this is fantastic. A lot of valuable stuff. So kind of, the gist of what I'm hearing from you is like being more intentional, proactive about your visibility. So not just only writing content or, assuming people will see it, but thinking strategically about building relationships, reaching out to people based on common interests or something, that you have in common, joining conversations that are relevant, that are interesting, and building relationships with people.
And here's the thing, when you're doing this, if you take out all the other stuff you think you should be doing on LinkedIn and just do this consistently, like I said, 3 15-minute blocks a week, you're also training the LinkedIn algorithm. Because, as I say that, I know I already said LinkedIn changes its algorithm daily, but there's a consistency to it. And the consistency is we know that the more you talk about the same thing, the better you're letting LinkedIn know when to send people to you, regardless of what they're doing with the algorithm this week. So you're also if you do this consistently, over time, you are going to become more magnetic on LinkedIn because LinkedIn knows what you like to talk about because you're talking about it all the time. So it knows when to send people to you.
Fantastic. Love that. Anything else that you want to mention that we haven't talked about? Because I think like
there's so many things we could be talking about. But like if one of the things that you're doing is going to a conference, or even if it's a virtual conference, right? Use LinkedIn before you go to the conference. Start to connect with the speakers. Like think about what you have coming up in the next month or 2 months or 3 months, and start to connect with people ahead of time. Start to build relationships with people in advance of the things that you'll be doing in the next couple of months, so that those events become more valuable, right? Like, how many times have you go to a conference and you're on the plane or in the car going home going, what just happened? Like, that was just a zoo, right? But if beforehand you connect with some of the speakers, if after the event you write some LinkedIn recommendations for some of the speakers, right? You're building actual relationships with the people involved in the things that you felt was worth your time to attend, right? Whether it's a conference or a virtual conference, or you're going to a networking event in your local town, right? Are you building relationships with the most important people in your community if your business is local based? Are you doing that with journalists, right? So think about the kinds of things that you have coming up and the kinds of people that will make the things you're going to be doing more successful, and in advance start to connect with them, right? So again, I can talk about this all day long, but you asked
Yeah,
for one tip. There's one more. There's
actually,
one
there
more.
was so I speak at conferences, and a lot of them are, doing speaker dinner, which I really appreciate because it allows you to connect to the speakers beforehand.
Exactly.
And one of the speakers, she did an incredible job. She reached out before the event, like a few weeks before, even a month before, to each one of the speakers, scheduled a virtual meeting with them. So also with me. I don't know if she met all of them, but she met a lot. And then when she got to the conference, she already knew a lot of people.
She had lunch dates and coffee dates. Yeah. 100%. 100%. It's how it makes it more valuable. It's how it makes it more valuable. And, here's the thing too. If you're a speaker and you know the other speakers have talked at other places that maybe they're not going to talk at again, and they can introduce you to their contacts at those places, right? So there's so much value in building relationships, like lateral relationships, not just like who can buy my stuff relationships. When I speak at events, I speak on LinkedIn, right? So I go to events, and I don't have any with me, or I'd grab them. I'm not at my desk right now. I have a stack of Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks $5 gift cards. And I give them to everyone in the audience that connected with me on LinkedIn beforehand. Almost never am I handing out gift cards. And I say to them, I'll show them, like, look, I got this stack here. All you needed to do to get this Starbucks gift card was connect with me on LinkedIn before this conference. And not one person here did, or one person did. The last conference I spoke at, one person did, like, between the time that I checked last and the time I got on stage. So she stood up and she's like, I just did 15 minutes ago. I'm like, all right, you get one. I said, I missed it because she said, I just did. And I had looked like a half hour before, whatever. But I do that to kind of showcase that it's such an easy thing to do and nobody's doing it. Right. And often the speakers are often pretty influential people compared to maybe, as opposed to the attendees, right? So you want to be connected to them. You want to build relationships with them. So this is where LinkedIn, and this is where women shine, right? Not just the cold, gross pitching, but this stuff that I'm talking about, building relationships. Like if you say to me, Karen, I just saw your name on, this conference. I didn't even, I'm listening to your podcast. I want to know more about you. I'm really looking forward to your talk. I really need to know more about that. I'm going to remember you did that because nobody does it. Right. And now when you come up to me after it, I remember who you are. I'm going to take a picture with you. I'm going to want to follow up with you. Right. Like maybe I'll even share you on my social media. Right. Which gets you more visibility. It's
Definitely.
just how great does that feel compared to sending out 100 cold pitches? So ignore all the cold pitches on your LinkedIn profile, delete them, ignore them, and do these things. And I think you're going to be calling me in a couple months saying, woo, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah. Cold pitches, I mean, that's not, that's not working. I can tell you from the side that is being pitched, that's not working. I usually, when someone connects with me and immediately start a pitching, I usually just disconnect because it's like, I'm not interesting. It's not interesting to me. So definitely. So anything you want to share that you are working on right now that you want to,
I would love for you guys to check out if you go to, sheslinkedUp.com/masterclass. That's our new free masterclass, which talks about this whole borrow the stage concept. But listen to my podcast, Good Girls Get Rich. We're coming up on 400 episodes. So we've got a lot. I've been doing it for a decade. I've been podcasting forever. And there's all this stuff we talked about here. I talk about on my podcast. And I do talk a lot also about the mindset around all of this, because you do have to, all the strategy in the world isn't going to help you get here, if that's your goal, if your mindset is still here. So you do have to elevate your mindset to really take advantage of the strategies we talked about here today. So I do talk a lot about that on the podcast as well, and in all of the stuff that I do. So listen to the podcast, connect with me on LinkedIn, and check out our new masterclass.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Karen. It's been a pleasure.
This was so fun. Thanks for having me.
Likewise.